Hey, how's it going, guys? Welcome back to the Mastar Animation Podcast. Today, I'm joined with special guest Merimo Animation, as well as my co-host, Pridely Studios. A reason I wanted to have this discussion, this podcast is going to be called From Paper to Production. And I especially wanted to have Merimo on for this episode because what we're talking about specifically for this one is how, as a fan animator, do you get the concept from your head onto paper into actually becoming a production for YouTube or, you know, even your own animation, whatever it is. But basically, we're not approaching this from a studio perspective. The entire point of this podcast is focused solely towards people who have the passion and the inspiration to learn animation and try and become an animator themselves. Because I hear time and time again from people every day that they've been inspired and they want to become an animator, but I see a lot of difficulties coming through with people just getting started because it's a very complicated process. And in fact, if you're following the process from like how it happens in Japan, where teams can be upwards of 2,000 people, and we're talking about a very, very refined assembly line process over in Japan, doing that by yourself is completely different. If you try and follow all those steps, you'll be completely overwhelmed and swamped, and you probably won't be able to finish your production. Now, me and Pride and Merimo all do fan animations by ourselves, or at least I did in the past. And what we want to talk about today is how in the hell do we accomplish this? What do you guys, Merimo, what do you think is your biggest challenge in doing animation? Especially, I want to hear about Dragon Ball AF, your Dragon Ball AF movie. Like, what is the biggest challenge that you're facing?
The biggest challenge that I'm facing is not really the animation on itself. Like, I can stay motivated for a very, very long period of time. The major problem that I have is when I gotta do the landscapes and the environments. When I gotta paint all of this, that's when my motivation drops totally. Sometimes, like just like for AF, like I have done I've done some scenes, but when it comes to do the backgrounds, I just can't stay motivated to paint every day to do this.
Well, why don't you get a landscape artist? Because most animators don't do the landscapes.
Because you gotta pay for this, and it's not even your production, and I can afford to pay someone, and it's not that easy to find background artists.
That's true. It's actually very difficult to find good background artists, and most of them, yeah, you will have to pay. I mean, my suggestion would be just reach out to some people that you know do background art, and I don't know, just talk to them. Try and see if there's any way that you can help promote them. If you can use their landscapes, you'll help promote them and or their channel or something like that. Like, try and turn it into like a mutually beneficial relationship. You know, perhaps I think what may be difficult for you is you're trying to create all these landscapes from scratch. And I mean, you're going against these like teams of, you know, landscape artists. And, you know, if you see an anime, it's like every few seconds, this beautiful landscape changes. And it's like the sheer amount of beautiful landscapes they draw on something like Attack on Titan. Even Dragon Ball Super has been doing a really good job of it lately too. The animation, it's like you see this beautiful landscape, and then like that, it's gone. And it's like, something like that must have taken an entire day or maybe 6 hours or something to draw. And it's like to only be in that anime or animation for a few seconds is like heartbreaking almost. Now, in terms of like doing that on top of the animation, yeah, I mean, that's a huge challenge for people. And you can't really just, you know, download a bunch of landscapes off the internet. It won't look good. Like, you need your own, you need your own like style, which, you know, really, the landscape art itself really gives a vibe and a feeling to your specific video. And that's why it's important to have like a very consistent landscape throughout. So yeah, man, I mean, I guess my suggestion there is just, maybe you'll hear from somebody on this video, but I mean, I've been contacted by a lot of landscape artists, and I've actually reached out to a lot. You know, like, if you just go on YouTube and you just search for like like landscape art, speed paint, you'll find a ton of YouTube channels. And I mean, it can't hurt to just reach out to them, you know, and see if they'll help you. And then you can help them in return in some way. Try and do like some kind of mutual bond and, you know, help each other. What about you, Pride? What's your biggest challenge?
My biggest challenge, just like you, is really like getting to that finish line. But when it comes to motivation, I really stay motivated throughout the whole process because, like I tell you, I do all my audio first, I do all my thumbnails for the scenes first. So whenever I'm not motivated, I just look at that and I'm like, damn, man, like you got to get this done. Like this is right here. It's almost done. The audio, everything's ready to go. So that's really how I motivate myself and just getting to that finish line. I just keep doing demos. That's the thing about me. Like I like getting that sense of accomplishment. Like it's almost done or it's done, seeing the whole vision. So I do like, I'm actually going to send you a video to show you like my project I worked on recently called Blue Rose. I just kept doing like different demos of that. First it started out as like thumbnails, like rough sketches and stuff with audio behind it. And I'm like, damn, this is dope. And then I went back like a few days later, drew like just rough, bad movements. It's okay. Like you don't have to be perfect when you first start. So I just do like bad movements, bad, you know, lip syncing. It just gives you that sense of getting things done. And then once you do that, the rest of the process just takes care of itself. Because when I go back and I work on the movements, like try to make them better, like I really like get down on like every cut and just try to do my best on it and just submit it like back into the footage so everything could play out. So my biggest problem really is just getting to that finish line, just like you said.
Yeah.
And
well, I think that's a good approach, and you know, you hit the nail on the head. Is that like you actually need build some kind of footage, render it, put some music behind it, watch it.
Exactly.
And it makes you feel so good. Like once it's like a finished, even if it's only like 20 seconds, and it's finished and has music behind it, it makes you feel so good. Like you actually feel very accomplished, like you said, Pride. And I think that's another really good way to stay motivated. And the best way to do that is do the scenes that you're most excited about first. And then you'll have 3 of those, and then you'll be like, okay, now I got to finish this whole damn thing because I'm so excited about this. Like, obviously, you're not going to release the little 20-second clips in pieces because it won't make any sense. But having those 3 finished 20-second clips will motivate you to finish the rest of the episode because you don't want them to go to waste, and it kind of pushes yourself. So as you said, that one of the biggest challenges is just the motivation factor because animation takes so long and it's so labor intensive. So do you guys use any shortcuts in order to speed up your process? Now, shortcuts meaning a standard animation studio, they write a script, then they do 3 weeks of storyboarding, and then they actually go into the key animation and everything. And now obviously we as single people can't do that. So do you guys take any shortcuts to actually be able to produce it as a single person?
Any shortcuts?
My shortcut is basically cutting back on I cut back on shading a lot. Like if you like, that's my thing. I don't shade too much because shade takes a lot of time. Like shading and trying to get everything to look good. Like it will look good. I'll do some blurring and that stuff, but I really like to try to keep my lines thin and simple, and then just do. I'm more of a movement animator. I focus more on movement than I guess you could say artwork. So my biggest shortcut is really cutting on the shading a little bit, but that's also like a major issue because it cuts down in your quality. But if you don't shade, if you skip some steps, then you'll be able to go much faster. Maybe you could actually do get the whole project done without shading, and then later, if you want to please yourself, you want to like be happy, whatever, you go back and you add the shading. But that's basically my biggest shortcut in doing this.
Yeah, this is a good one from Merimo because he uses like 10 levels of shading on like every frame. He's like the shading god over here. So what's your opinion on that, Merimo?
What I do to go faster is I sacrifice on the effects and sometimes I sacrifice on the quality of movements. I'm the opposite of Pride, which means that I prefer to have good artworks because I think that's what people remember when they watch an anime. Most of the time, you have the movements, of course, but most of the time, when they watch fan animation, they will remember the artwork more than the movements.
I think
That's what I noticed. So
yeah, I've seen
I,
that. No, I've seen that, dude. I've seen that because there's a lot of fan animations that, you know, there's really not that much going on, just a bunch of still frames, but the each picture is drawn really well, and there's some nice effects. It's like done in Photoshop, and just because of that, it makes it shareable because like the actual like drawing quality is so high. So I mean, I can't agree with that, but at the same time, Merimo, you could have crappy animation or crappy drawing, but if the movement is so good, you know, people will share it as well. So I guess it can kind of work in both ways. My shortcuts is, I think, number one, I'm not afraid to reuse animations because I understand like how hard and how long it takes to do something like a mountain blowing up, or even like a 7-frame movement of a character throwing a punch. You know, to redraw all of that to take me like 2 days. Or I could just use one. I mean, it's going to be in the animation for like literally a half a second or less. Like, I'm not afraid to pull one out from a past episode. Now, I've gotten a lot of criticism for that. Yes, but that is one of the major shortcuts that I do in order to speed up the process, save a lot of time, and additionally make the episodes longer. So, you know, there's a lot of things that people question, like why do I do certain things this way or that way. You know, there's a reasoning behind everything.
Oh, and you use assets, right? You have your assets, your movements, your mouth movements, and that kind of stuff. You're a Flash user.
Yeah.
have
Exactly.
a lot of those.
Yeah, that's a shortcut.
Yeah, I use Flash. I'll use Flash as a huge shortcut as an animation tool because, like you said, Pride. Like, I will reuse mouth movements. I'll reuse like body parts and just like recolor them and stuff. But those kinds of things. I mean, I personally I think it's smart because like you have so much to do. You know, you have to figure out ways to speed up the process. Now, that does kind of sacrifice quality quite a bit, but even like redrawing the mouth, every time a character is talking, you know, you usually have, it'll be like 3 different movements for the mouth. I mean, think about the time you're saving. Instead of redrawing 3 pictures, I'm literally just copying and pasting an old mouth and just resizing it. Things like that, you know, add up over time. And if you cut out all these little things that like most people like probably don't even notice, or even if they do, they just don't mind. I think a very small percentage of people like really care if you're using like the same mouth, like from like 2 different characters. I mean, if you're going for like the maximum level quality, yes, like redraw the mouth. I mean, every anime they always like they never use Flash, like they never like reuse assets like that.
No, they use Flash.
Well, I mean, they don't like they always like redraw like
okay, I see what you're saying.
They don't like use a model for a character's hair. So for example, like this is a shortcut I took.
They don't do that.
Right, like for God of Destruction Trunks, basically one thing that I'll do, and this is a really good shortcut, and I've done it for the Super Saiyan White hair as well, is I draw like a 3-frame hair so it's like flowing in the wind. And I just make sure it looks really, really good. I'll spend some time on that. And then from then on, I have that asset and I can always use it as a copy and paste because every time you want to put that character's hair, if you're going to redraw it 3 times for every single scene, I mean, that adds a ton of time to your production. So, you know, you got to remember that, you know, we're doing these for free. And if you want to be an animator, you're going to be doing it for free for the most part too. So you want to take all these like, you know, tiny little shortcuts, in my opinion, that you can just in order to make the thing feasible, because it's very easy to sit on the outside and look at the thing and criticize, but to actually make one of these major projects come to fruition is incredibly, incredibly difficult, and it requires an incredible amount of time. And I think, you know, the most important thing that I've seen to people is they want length. They want like a long episode, but it's paced well. So like, meaning like you're not stretching out scenes just to make the video longer. You know, it's actually like it keeps you interested. And I think people are okay with like lack of quality in terms of like the art, if like the story and the action scenes are good and it can keep them interested. So I mean, I think like, I think people forgive me for things like reusing hair models or mouth models and stuff like that. And you know, that really helps me to speed up the process.
Yeah, it depends of the objective that you got. I'm more of a I'm in search of quality instead of quantity all the time. So I can't reuse a lot of symbols in my animation when
I
I
don't I don't really
creating.
like agree with that 100% because if you can't, your goal your goal as an animator should be able to like tell a story and somehow like emotionally like impact somebody with your scene, right? And if you're just doing like high quality pictures, that's not really gonna like yo. You gotta focus on your story. You gotta get your audio right. You gotta make sure the scene conveys like the right emotion that you're trying to get out. It's not all about quality. And one of the things that actually got me into animating was watching that fight between Naruto and Sasuke back in what '06, I think that's when it came out, or maybe '07. And some of that like those scenes, they're like high quality movements, and they didn't do much shading, they didn't do much art. You're watching the characters like fighting, it was just the style they call Sakuga, and they weren't really doing much shading. It was just, it was just high level of movements, and it really like, the character's like blah blah, do you feel my pain? He's like, he punches the other character, and it's just, just there wasn't much quality into it. But the movements, the way they did the movements with like such high level of frames, high amount of frames, it really got the emotion across. So as an animator, I think your goal should be more to emotionally impact somebody with your stuff, with your scenes, make somebody feel scared or happy, whatever. I don't think it's
You
all
can
about
do it
quality,
with
to be
good
honest.
artwork too. Like the movement is important, but the artwork is it is the same. It's the same
Yeah,
importance,
because
even
I
more.
seen.
I agree with both you guys. I mean, look at like Samurai Jack though. Like the artwork is about as low as it's gonna get, but it does have that like emotional impact and it's fun and the action scenes are fun. So it does have a good following. It's not anime, but it's if you guys want to do animation, but at the same time, like that amazing artwork can also have like a really powerful impact on the audience as well. So
Obviously,
it can go both ways. I think the real thing is finding a balance, But I think the only problem with the super high detailed work like you do, Merimo, is that it's very easy to get burnt out.
Slows the
It,
hell out of you.
well,
Hell yeah.
I mean, it slows you down, but that's okay because you're producing a higher quality production. I think more what I'm concerned about is just like getting burnt out before the picture's done or the production is done because, you said you want your animation to be like 20, 25 minutes long. I mean, I don't want you to get to like 15 minutes and then just be like so burnt out like you just can't even work on it anymore. You know what I mean? And if also another issue is that if like your first 5 minutes everything is 3 to 4 gradients of shading, and then you decide that you don't want to do that anymore, it's gonna look like really inconsistent. So like once you basically start on that path, you're gonna have to like stay on it until you're done.
yeah,
You
that's
know?
the point of it.
Exactly. So
That's the objective.
if you guys are beginners, I wouldn't worry about all this, like high level quality crap. You're just gonna kill yourself doing this stuff. Get the basics down, get the story down,
But you can
get the
you
stuff
can
that you're trying to tell, because
you can
this is
kill
gonna kill
yourself
you.
too. You can kill yourself too by doing a crazy movement with thousands of redraws.
No,
Yeah, you
no.
can.
Of course you can,
It's
Yeah,
man.
you can.
actually
Of
no,
course
it's
you
actually,
can,
let me
man.
tell you, movements, they're not that hard. They're not It's not that hard to
It
do
is
like
for
like
beginners.
really good.
It is for
It's
beginners, man.
I don't think so. I don't think it's
Obviously,
really as hard. I don't think doing like so many frames. Okay, doing high level movements and then redrawing like with not much shading, right? Like a fight scene, right? And
yeah.
imagine doing it your way, doing high level movements and then drawing like everything perfect, high quality, like 4 levels of shading. Yeah, you're gonna kill yourself. You're not in it, like you're not an animation studio.
Yeah, I mean,
You're
if you
not.
Yeah,
have if
that's
you
why
got
I
an army of people, you could do
that's
it.
why
But
Yeah.
that's why I sacrifice some of the smoothness of the animation. Then it
Oh,
works.
okay. I see.
That's a
Well,
compromise I take.
it's all different, point of views.
But this is
Yeah.
this is the exact reason that I wanted to have this podcast is because there are so many different elements that go into the final production. There are sacrifices you have to make. You have to weigh which parts are more important than other parts to me and to completing this project, especially when there's like a million different moving parts. And, you know, not only are you just drawing and coloring and boom, you have an animation, it's hundreds of times more complicated than that. I mean, that now then you're adding like audio on top of that, and editing and compositing and all these other things. So, you know, as an animator and as a single animator, when you factor in all of these elements, what it really comes down to is what is the most important thing to me in order to getting this video done. And another reason I like this podcast is because it's very clear and apparent here that all three of us have very different styles, and we have very different production styles as well. So that, you know, kind of shows the audience like it's not set like one way. Like you don't have to follow any path. Like follow the path that works best for you. And obviously that's what we all do. We all follow the path that works best for us. And that's why like just about every fan animation you see on YouTube like looks very different. Everybody has their own kind of styles because they do things their way. And that's actually what we touched on in the last podcast.
Yo, I don't think it's about being perfect, man. You need to find your own process, and as you go, you're like building it. So you're like, oh, this shit works. Let me add this to my process, or this doesn't work. Let me kick this down. You can't try to be perfect, try to be an animation studio, because you're not. You're not at that level. So I think it's focus is more like most important problem having.
I think it's time management. Time management is probably the single most critical factor in producing a long animation. Like now, if you're going for, you know, some high frame rate, fun action scene that's only 30 seconds long, you don't need to worry about time management. But if you're going for like a 5 to 10 minute plus animation, which is very, very difficult to do as just a fan, you need to figure out the best ways to manage your time. And that also plays into what we were talking about before, which is what areas can I cut out? Like what shortcuts can I take? What do I need to put more emphasis on than other parts? And, you know, you basically need as much time as you possibly can, but you need to like condense that into a certain short period, because we have lives, you know, like you said, people have jobs and lives and school. And I mean, what I did was when I was working and I was animating, I was like, I would like wake up, I'd like animate in the morning before I went to work. Luckily at this job, I worked close to home. So I would like come home for lunch, animate for like 45 minutes, go back to work, come home and animate till like 3 a.m., sleep like
that's not good.
3-4 hours and do it all the next day. But dude, that's what it took. I mean, I'm not saying that's healthy by any means. I'm kind of like a workaholic in that sense, but like
I couldn't do that. Let me tell you why. Because anytime like I have to animate and like I gotta go to school or something, like it just gives me like that pit in my stomach, like oh shit, you're gonna be gone and you gotta be gone in an hour. Like I just can't wrap my mind like around being focused enough. Like if I have something to do and I'm trying to animate, like I just I just can't do it. I have to be like focused and be like, okay, I got nothing to do. It's time to go off in these scenes. That's basically how I see it.
Yeah, the stress.
Go ahead,
the stress is something that not a lot of people can manage. Like you can't be creative and stressed at the same time.
Yeah.
I talk for me, and I think that's the same for Pride. Like we need to get focused, like 100% on what we're doing without thinking about getting out or doing something else. Like I gotta stay focused on my tab and have my music on or anything, but certainly I can't just like you do, just wake up the morning and animate before going to work, because I won't be fresh or anything.
Yeah.
I'll just
I gotta respect you. I gotta give you some points for that. It does seem like you're that type of guy who just like you go off and you're, oh, I got an hour. Oh shit! Like let me put it in.
That's exactly what I do, man. I'm like every minute freaking counts, man. I remember there was points when like I would like go like heat up some cold coffee like in the microwave, and for that like 1 minute that shit was in the microwave, I would run back to my computer and like keep coloring and shit. Like I remember I used to do that because I was like just so like frantic about like I need every minute that I possibly can in order to like make. This was back during Goku Saitama. Also back then I didn't know all of the tools and stuff and like the shading trick that Merimo taught me and all this. Like I didn't know a lot of tools, but like my process was much slower back then, which actually leads into the final question, which is what are the biggest areas of growth since you started, and how did you improve? I mean, for me, I think my biggest areas of growth were basically learning the tools the best, because I was using like all of the wrong tools in the beginning. I was using I mean, I still don't know all of the tools. There's still like a bunch of unique tools, but I've learned so many ways to speed up the process, basically, not only to speed it up, but to make it higher quality. And because I've been able to do that, I'm able to produce like higher quality animation at much faster. You know, I've learned the shortcuts. I know which areas to sacrifice and which areas to focus more on. Like I'm not afraid to do like high frame rate stuff anymore. Like in Goku Saitama, I skipped like a lot of high frame rate stuff. In fact, most of that series was just like one big punch and the character goes like flying into a mountain. It was like I couldn't animate those like close quarter combat scenes because it was just like too many frames. I'm like, I'm not going to spend, you know, a week working on this for like 5 seconds in the episode, or not even 5 seconds, like 1 second of animation. It's going to take me an entire week. Like I'm just going to skip it all together. But because of like the new methods that I've learned, I can basically do that in about, I don't know, 6 to 12 hours, something like that. So it's like 6 to 12 hours for like 1 second animation is like, let's just say 6 is much more reasonable than like a week, you know? So the process, learning the ways to speed up the process, and also just like mainly just practice, man. You know, like all this stuff, like when I was starting out, I'd have to figure things out. It seems so much more complicated. And now it's just like second nature to me. I just like Merimo said, just put on some music or like a podcast or something that you can just kind of have in the background, and just sit down and just grind, you know. And you know, you just kind of get in the zone and you go on like autopilot, and then like before you know it, you render your file and you're like, holy shit, this is like really cool, you know.
Okay, the biggest area of growth I'd say is just being like more analytical, like being able to analyze other animators. To be honest, I don't even practice that much anymore. I just like sitting down and watching other people, like watching other animations. Like I like to watch a lot of high quality movements, like Sakuga, for example, and I just sit down and watch them frame by frame. And this is the fastest way for me to learn. I see like, bam, like this hand's blurred, then it's not blurred, and then bam, it chops somebody behind the neck. So my biggest area of growth is really like not trying to act like I know everything and getting in the softwares and trying to do it. Just basically watching how they do stuff, and then it gets like locked in my mind when I'm doing. I'm like, oh yeah, I seen that. I could blur this here, and do this there, and damn, like I could do what they're doing, and I'm just watching, you know. So I don't. That's
an excellent point. I mean, it's an excellent point. Is that, you know, yeah, you can't act like you know everything. Like you always have to have like an open mind, because animation is one of the most amazing things about it is that there's no limit to your creativity, and it's one of the things that I love about it the most. But because of that, that doesn't mean that you're not allowed to learn from other people. I mean, we're talking about animation's been around for a very, very long time, and there's a lot of techniques, and it's constantly rapidly changing. But there are some like fundamentals that you can learn, and there's also you know, artist specific animation techniques and stuff that you can learn.
That's my way of practicing, just looking at things in slow-mo. Get one of those softwares like VLC Media Player, or there's one called MC Player, and you're able to like play a footage and put it in slow motion though, and you're just watching the stuff happen. If you guys are new to animation and you basically want to learn like the fastest, I feel like that's the fastest way to learn. Just watch the stuff in slow motion and be like, so that's what they do. And the second thing is really like your anatomy. I mean, even I'm not like, I haven't mastered, I'm nowhere near mastery for hold on, who is this, for anatomy. And it's really like the most important thing. Like my teachers told me, my friends, people in the industry told me. I still never listened. Like I didn't listen when they told me to master anatomy. But I feel like if you could get your anatomy down pretty early, like that's the best thing you could do if you're gonna be in animation.
Well, you know, it's funny. One of the things that I learned, like through looking through frame by frames, was like impact frames, and
Oh
like
shit, yeah.
I didn't know shit about impact frames until I started doing and started looking through this, and I noticed because like you don't see them with the naked eye, but basically, guys, the impact frame is like the instant before like a punch hits or somebody flies into a mountain or they get kicked or something. There's usually like like 2 to 3 to sometimes 4 frames of like a black and white picture with like the characters are glowing or like it's highlighted red or something like that, and it basically is a subliminal way to influence the impact of the hit. And I use them like every hit now because I think it just increases like the power of the hit and how dramatic it is, and I absolutely love it. And some of these like Japanese animators, man, they do like the most incredible impact frames. Like there'll be like a single frame where they show like the character's like skeleton and stuff. Actually, when Boros knees Saitama into the moon, there is an impact frame there where it shows like Saitama's skeleton. It's actually, and I was like, you can't see it with your naked eye, but if you go frame by frame, you see these kinds of things. In fact, like looking through frame by frame in Dragon Ball, I've noticed all sorts of like really weird stuff that I never would have noticed before. But like learning like seeing how those things happen teaches you a lot, you know. And it's like you don't have to copy it, but you know, learning what that stuff is and why it works and how people do it, and then you can kind of start doing it your own way. So I mean, I do my own impact frames now. I don't put too much work into it because it's like something that just happens like in a flash. But you know, I'll usually do like a white, black with like highlights, black with like different color highlights, and then like red with like a lightning bolt going through it or something, like a 4 frame, and it just like it feels really strong. If you rotoscope Anime War, you'll see that stuff like all the time.
How the hell do you do it? How the hell do you do like 20 minutes? Like you're doing 27 minutes. That's crazy. How do you do that?
I just work hard, man. I mean, I'm not like a genius animator or anything. Just hard work. Just sit there, and it's just dedication, dude. And I mean, plain and simple, that's all it is. I every minute counts. You know what I mean? While I'm heating up food in the microwave, I hop back on the computer to color some more shit, and I go get my food, and I come back and I eat at my desk, and I keep working. I mean, it's purely dedication and, you know, and taking shortcuts in order to make the thing. Like at the end of the day, you have to like sometimes you just have to sacrifice some quality in order to get the thing finished. Plain and simple. And if you want to have a career as a fan animator on YouTube, which is extremely hard to do, you have to learn how to sacrifice quality to get videos out, because you know you don't get paid more because the video is longer. You know, you might make fans happier, but in terms of money, like you got to look at it from like an hourly rate perspective. If you make $1,000 off the video, but it took you 400 hours to do, you're getting paid $2.50 an hour. Like I don't know anybody that can like pay rent on $2.50 an hour. So like you have to look at that from that perspective and say, okay, like how can I make my time more valuable, essentially? And it just comes down to time management, dude. Time management and hard work and willingness to learn. That's
smart. That's actually a topic I wanted to get.
That's not my way to work, but I understand.
But dude, wait, Merimo, wait till you're still working on your movie though, dude. Like wait till you release that, and like you'll make like, but you've put in an insane amount of work on that movie already. I mean, so it's gonna come out. But dude, the money you're gonna make off that video, like you're not gonna be able to live off of for very long. You're gonna need to put out another one. Like,
of course,
his goal and yours is different.
Yeah,
like,
his goal.
He works.
Yeah,
but you do this full time. So I just want to hear like for someone like you who works full time, because that's what I think that's what like a lot of people want. They're listening to this or other animators. They want to work and be able to pay their bills off this, so they don't have to do other work. So.
I don't think it's possible to do it as a full-time job unless you subsidize it with other videos, like how I do the Dragon Ball videos, and I kind of use the Dragon Ball videos and the animations and bounce them off each other in order to like help the channel grow and get more views, because I can like promote Anime War like in my Dragon Ball videos and stuff. But if your goal, like Merimo, I guess your goal is just to be like a well-known animator and potentially, you know, you wanted to like go to school for animation stuff, right?
I was doing it. Plain have changed a bit.
So what is your goal?
My goal right now is just to finish that movie, and we'll see what's going to happen next.
Yeah, and I mean that's okay. I mean when I started out with Goku Saitama, I didn't do it to make money. I mean I had 30 subscribers when I did that, but you know I did it because I wanted to, and I wanted to make people happy, you know, and that was my goal back then. But since then, you know, I've you know I'm doing this full time now, so things kind of change a little bit. I guess if you're doing it full time, like there's a huge difference between if you're doing YouTube full time or if you're just doing it as like a side passion. So that's kind of a difference, a huge difference. So it's okay that we have different objectives from our work. You know, I still don't think it's really worth it, in my opinion, to invest like a year on like a single fan animation. But
I don't think so.
It
I don't
is.
think so either.
If you see it from an artistic point, it is. I see that like it's like my creation. Like I want to be proud of it. I can't just release something that I'm not entirely proud of. Proud of.
no, I get that. I totally get that. But I mean, if I was gonna do something for like artistic only goal, then I would do. I mean, me personally, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with what you're doing, but me personally, I would do like either I would do my own animation or like something unique and just try and go purely for art. You know.
Same here, man. Same here.
But I mean, Merimo's animation is incredibly unique for any Dragon Ball fan animation. So I mean, he's going to be well known for the art when he releases that monster. But the thing is, Merimo, you got to keep it up, dude. So it's like as soon as you're done with this one, man, you gotta have to do. You're gonna have a lot of fans. You're gonna have a lot of fans.
I mean, that's a lot of pressure, though. I mean, he doesn't have to. I don't think so.
It is a lot of pressure, dude.
Actually, I'm not forced to do anything. You know, I just want to release it and see if I can do something next. I will do it for me. You know, not necessarily to
that's
please
a good way. That's a good way to look at it. Yeah. Because if you're just doing it for the fans, you're gonna like fucking kill yourself. People are gonna watch it for free.
Dude, what do you think I do? I love that it makes people happy. Like that's literally the only thing that keeps me going doing these animations is that fans like go bonkers for it. They absolutely love it and makes their day. I get emails from people all the time. They're like, "Dude, I look forward to so much to Anime War when you release these. Like literally, it's like the best day ever. Like I'm going through a tough time, you know." And these make these like literally like keep me going. And when people send you that kind of stuff, it's hard to be like, I don't care. I'm just gonna do what I want. Like, you know what I mean? Like it's. You have people who are like really looking up to you and looking in they like need it in their life. You know what I mean? And like I'm not trying to say that by any means to sound like people need my content or anything. But if you see like some of the comments and just the joy that it brings to people, and dude, life is hard, for a lot of people, and to be able to give them something that like gets their mind off that shit for like a little bit, like that, that makes me happy that I can like help people like get their mind off like the shit in this world for like even just 30 minutes,
That's the whole point of
you shouldn't be forced to do it, actually.
But that's the whole point of animation, though. That brings up what I was talking about earlier when I'm telling you, like, you don't have to go all crazy on quality. What you gotta try to do is like have something that emotionally impacts somebody, that gets their mind off the world for a minute.
Yeah, I mean, I look, I don't feel forced. I do feel some pressure from fans to get it done because obviously like literally like tons of the second I release an episode, it's when is the next episode, But I don't have to do it. Like
exactly.
If I kept doing Dragon Ball vids and I stopped doing Anime War, I don't know. I probably wouldn't lose too many subscribers, but I mean,
you wouldn't lose it, but they'll be all over your Demon Rush or whatever you do. They'll be all over like bring Anime War back or like stop this. Because let me tell you why.
Of course,
that's why Manavelli is stuck on
exactly. Exactly. I seen him like put out what did he put out? I felt like he put out something different, and people were like,
The
"No, we need Absalon." Or he's like, "Look, guys, I think he made
you
this
see,
video. I want to work on something else." And they're like, "No, no." Everybody's like, "No," in the comment, like, "No, like we're not gonna watch it. You have to work on Absalon." And
That's
that's
messed
what I
up,
want
man.
to avoid. That's what I don't want.
exactly. So, like I'm telling you, these fans, to be honest, like I don't want to like. These fans are just like some of these fans are just greedy. They're gonna tell you, "Oh, you suck." Oh,
Well,
what? Like, when's the next episode? Like, when's the release date? They just give me more and more and more. It's like it's like a zombie. You gotta keep feeding
At
it.
some
Or, I
point,
don't know. Or like a chicken or something. You gotta keep like throwing the pebbles.
it's funny, man.
You gotta
at
keep
some
throwing
point,
the pebbles out and like feed
some
them. You know,
point
like
they don't even appreciate the work done.
that's
They
why
just see it as product, an
I
anime.
gotta be with Merimo. You gotta do it. I do it mostly for myself, cause I don't know, man. You guys are like
Well,
chickens, and you have to constantly like keep being fed. My master keeps like he keeps having to
that's the
throw the
nature of YouTube,
throw the
man.
food out.
That's the nature of YouTube. You know, if you don't want to be in that business, I mean, don't be a YouTuber. I mean, any
Yeah.
YouTuber, you have to constantly put out material, and because that's what fans are subscribed to you for, is that
No,
material.
I'm
You know what I
fine
mean?
with that, but like when them like dictating what material you're putting out, like no, we're not gonna watch.
No,
Like they were telling Melavel, like we're not gonna watch your shows. Like you have to do
well,
Absalon
fuck
and
that,
keep
dude.
doing it. Like they're telling him
Let
that
the
in the
man do what he
comments.
wants to do. There's nothing wrong with like letting people do what they want to do. I mean, like you got to let people switch it up a little bit. I mean, they get bored working on the same projects or doing the same type of material over and over again. And, it's good for the creators to be able to, switch it up to keep themselves interested. Because the last thing you want is your favorite creator to get like burnt out and just like quit YouTube,
Yeah,
'cause
and be like, yo, I'm done with this completely. Like that's it.
yeah.
Because I knew a kid like that. I knew a kid like that. Like he was so like we used to talk about animation every day. I used to help him learn. I gave him the softwares, everything he needed. He started making this fan animation, and he was just putting so many hours into it. He was working hard like every day, and he finally got the animation out. He got like about 80,000 views, and he was like really happy. But all the work, all the hard work he had to like after that, he just like entirely quit animation. He's like, I hate it. I'm done. You guys don't want you don't want your people to get to that level, because I'm really like I was really that really hit me. Like that kid was so motivated like back in the days. Like he used to be like, oh my god, this just came out. Absalon just came out. We used to like sit for hours and talk about it, and he just quit. Like the thing just drove him crazy. Not only him, there was this other Bleach animator, KL Fire Tears. That was his name. And he was like really good with the blurs and the effects. And he just did like this one big animation, and after that he just hated it. So he made this video. He's like, hey guys, like unfortunately I'm sorry. Like I'm just sick. I'm sick of the project. I'm sick of the animations. You guys keep asking for them. You're not appreciating it. And he just flat out quit. So
You got to be tough-willed,
honestly,
man. You got to be really tough-willed. Like you can't let the comments affect you, dude. Like plain and simple. I mean, if you let the comments affect you, you won't have a career as a YouTuber. Like you have to have super thick skin. That's just the nature of the community on YouTube, dude. Like you have to either ignore that kind of stuff or like look past it, and just like the people who are positive, who like appreciate you and like you can tell are like good people and genuine, like talk to them. Talk to the people like you're making happy, not like the childish little like immature person who's like, stop making these videos, release your next episode. Like drop your whole life, go broke. I don't give a fuck what happens to you. I don't care if you die. Just release the next episode and then I'm unsubscribing. Like that guy, like you don't need to worry about him. Like let him unsubscribe. I just like come to consensus. Like the only thing that's really important to me is I don't need to make that guy happy. But when I first started YouTube, my goal was to make everybody happy. And I quickly learned that you just can't do that. And so there's going to be those people, but you cannot make everybody happy.
Because let me tell you, I never seen like a video like that has like high views and no dislikes. Like what's the point with that? What's the business with that? Like why do people dislike sometimes? Like I've never seen a video with no dislikes.
Because people will dislike things like, for example, I did a spoiler video for the Dragon Ball Super spoilers for 90 through 93, and that Frieza's coming back. And they could have disliked it because I showed a picture of blue Frieza in the thumbnail, or they could have simply just disliked it because Frieza's coming back and they hate that. So it's like they're not, those dislikes. A lot of times people are just disliking because they don't like the news or something. Like the video could have like a cat meowing, and the guy could be like, "I hate cats," dislike. You know what I mean? So it's like it does, like people will dislike over like the dumbest thing. So it's basically like don't even worry about the dislikes. That's why you really have to pay attention to the positive comments, and just like only thing that matters to me now is just like keeping the fans that I have happy. I don't need to. I've learned that I don't need to try and transform haters into friends. It's not gonna help. Just make the people that like your content, keep them happy, because they're the ones that are helping you survive as a YouTuber. All right, guys, I just want to say thank you to Merimo Animation and Pridely Studios. Their links are in the description below. Feel free to go check out their channels. I want to thank Merimo and Pride for joining me on this episode of Mastar Animation Podcast number 2. Check out Merimo Animation on Twitter if you want to see a little clip of his absolutely amazing Dragon Ball AF. And thank you guys for joining us today, and we'll see you on the next podcast or one coming up in the future.